Imagine you are the Chief Executive Officer assigned to manage the daily, monthly, and yearly operations of your business. Imagine the products your organization produces are not just consumed by the public domestically, but also globally. Imagine your entire upstream and downstream processes and productions are placed under a public microscope, scrutinized relentlessly by the world media. This is your mission. This is the size of the challenge. And this is the height of the order. As the world human population continues to grow exponentially, demand for timber products continues to keep pace. The world's insatiable appetite for timber is unprecedented in the history of our planet. Juxtaposed against this backdrop are the issues of sustainability and legality. How do you keep on cutting trees and still meet the pressing need to preserve a sustainable forest? This documentary examines how a country like Malaysia, one of the world's biggest exporters of timber, strike a balance between meeting the timber market's needs and preserving the country's forest. It is an intricate balancing act, to say the least, and it is a fascinating journey into the minds and management skills of those tasked with this towering responsibility.
We maintain at 55% forest reserve at all times. So I'm proud of that because as opposed to the other European countries such as USA, UK, Germany and France, they are averaging about 30%. So we are far much better in terms of sustainability, in terms of forest reservation. The market potential is still large actually to the world, but we also have our reservation in promoting strongly our product because we are short of raw material in terms of our upstream activities. So now we are encouraging the downstream players who does the furnitures and all those, we are encouraging them to also go into upstream activities, because for someone to do upstream only, it is not economical. So it has to go with the downstream, because for tree plantation, it takes you 15 years. You plant, then 15 years, then you reap. Okay, then after that you wait for another 15 years. So therefore it's not economical for them to just concentrate on planting of these trees. So therefore the downstream players has to go into the upstream activities.
On environment, social and governance, Malaysian Timber Council is serious to go further on this matter. So that's why in Malaysian Timber Council, together with the industry players, all the associations in Malaysia, we are crafting a ESG charter where we plan to roll out this ESG charter in Q4 2022 as a guidance for the timber industry and incorporate this ESG in their business. When we're talking for environment, we are serious by having our sustainable forest management. We even have our certification, Malaysian Timber Certification Scheme, MTCS, owned by our Malaysian Timber Certification Council, managed by Malaysian Timber Certification Council, MTCC. When we're talking about social, actually our industry provides employment, provide opportunity for local talent to contribute to the industry. And we can see that actually, based on the data that we have, around 200,000 of Malaysians, including some foreign workers, are involved in these industries, and really this shows that we are really providing employment to our citizens. And the third one, when talking about governance, we want to ensure that only legally harvested timber will be used or will be harvested. And this shows a real commitment for Malaysia to ensure the sustainability, environmentally friendly when talking about timber industry in Malaysia.
This is another benchmark that the timber industry looking forward to achieve. In Malaysia, it's all well in place. You talk about environmentals, we are producing all our timbers coming from environmental friendly sources. I believe our timber industry have no problem of achieving it. And we go even further to do some project like LCA that will be able to show to the world that I think this tropical timber species, this is the first project that we can find out the carbon footprint by producing tropical timber from the forest right up to the end product. Comparatively, we can tell the world how good we are compared with other methods.
Equally important for us is to ensure that we have sustainably sourced materials to be used in our products. Because currently, when we are talking about natural forests in Malaysia, for example, we cannot all the time dependent on natural forests. We need to have initiative. We need to be proactive to find solutions, to find any other alternatives to our virgin forests. So now currently, there are few initiatives ongoing now. For example, industrial tree plantation or ITP, where we go for large-scale commercial programs for this, where we are going to plant fast-growing species like eucalyptus, like batai, klampayan, Paullinia, and few other species that we want to encourage for the industry to plant as an alternative raw materials to ensure the sustainability of our timber industry. The second one, we are also talking about community farming. Where this community farming, where we want to get the cooperation from the community to plant trees as much as possible, and this can be There will be a program of buyback later on, where the industry will buy these trees as an alternative raw materials to ensure the sustainability of our timber industry.
Apart from the earlier initiatives mentioned, MTC has embarked on the following programs. First is the purchase assistance for alternative materials. In 2020, MTC introduced this to promote the utilization of oil palm trunks, kenaf, coconut, and bamboo from the domestic sources for value adding. Next is the business matching program to match overseas suppliers with Malaysian companies looking for raw materials. MTC has also expanded its Import Assistance Program (IAP) to encourage the timber industry to import seedlings and plantlets of fast-growing species. This is for the Industrial Tree Plantation Program.
The fact that timber is the most renewable, recyclable and natural materials, and we align this with our initiative related to ESG, Environmental, Social and Governance, ESG, we are committed, and this, I believe, will be a very good platform to ensure that the positive outlook of the timber industry in the future. But we need to do it right. We need to ensure it's sustainable, we need to ensure it's from the legally sourced, and then at the same time we also need to adapt with the latest technology, with the latest innovation. Malaysia remains committed to implementing Timber Legality Assurance Systems, or SITILAS, for the whole part of Malaysia, either in Peninsular Malaysia or in East Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak. For Peninsular Malaysia, we have Malaysian Timber Legality Assurance System, or MyTILAS, and for Sabah, we have Sabah Timber Legality Assurance System, Sabah TILAS, and for Sarawak, we have Sarawak Timber Legality Verification System, STLVS. Besides this TILAS, and for European market or other environmentally sensitive markets, they also sometimes request for certification. In Malaysia, we have committed to this. We have Malaysian Timber Certification Scheme, or MTCS, owned by Malaysian Timber Certification Council, MTCC, where in this MTCS, we really want to ensure that all our products are certified and all our products are from legal source. And this, I'm sure that by having this, we can access those markets as mentioned just now, the Europe, the US, as well as other environmentally sensitive markets. And we are committed to this by implementing this throughout Malaysia. MTCS, Malaysian Timber Certification Scheme, owned by Malaysian Timber Certification Council, is one of the schemes recognized under the Program for the Endorsement of Forest Certification, PEFC. And actually some of our industry players, they are also met the requirements under Forest Stewardship Council, FSC, where these two schemes, PEFC and FFC, are the systems that we have for certification that recognized by global players.
Timber certification is a process that basically verify that forest is managed sustainably against a set standard of sustainable forest management, and as well as the timber industry that uses this wood, they are also, basically making sure that the supply chain management can ensure that the timber that is used in the factory or in the manufacturing sector comes from sustainably managed forests, or at least can be verified that is legal basically. So whatever that comes out from this mills, you can trace back to the forest basically, and at the end of the chain you get a logo basically. When this product is certified, you can be assured that the product comes from sustainably managed forests, or at least from a legal origin, and that consumers can be certain, can be sure that the timber that they are buying is legally sourced as well as sustainable. So that is what timber certification basically is all about. Basically, while doing certification, then there is a set standard that the forest management has to conduct sustainable forest management basically. So the implementation of the practices of sustainable forest management by the forest manager will then be assessed by a third-party auditor basically against the set standard. For Malaysia, it's called the Malaysian Criteria and Indicators for Sustainable Forest Management. This is a standard that was developed through consultation with all the different parties that has interest in forest management. So this includes local communities, indigenous communities, workers, and environmental NGOs, even the authorities, as well as the industry. So these all different parties will come together and agree to a set of standards on how the forest should be managed sustainably. So this is the standard that is then be used by the third-party auditor to conduct their audit. For chain of custody as well, the same process goes, that the standard is developed through stakeholder consultation, and for the mills it is called the chain of custody standard, and we are actually using an international chain of custody standard developed by the Program for Endorsement of Forest Certification, or PEFC, basically to assess the supply chain management of manufacturing facilities basically. So for the implementation of certification, timber certification in Malaysia, it is under the purview of the Malaysian Timber Certification Council, or in short it's called MTCC. So we operate the Malaysian Timber Certification Scheme. Basically, the components as I mentioned earlier is these two standards for sustainable forest management and chain of custody that we make available for the industry basically to use. To ensure that the industry uses sustainably managed material, or at least legal material, is a tool that is developed over 20 years ago, when there was really a heightened interest or heightened concerns with regard to environmental management and sustainably managed forests, and to reduce deforestation and forest degradation. So it is something that we are actually really supporting to ensure that our industry is supported by a sustainable forestry, and when logging is done, it is done in a way that doesn't damage the forest. It is done in a way that takes into consideration all the different elements in sustainable forest management. The Malaysian Timber Certification Scheme has been endorsed by the Program for Endorsement of Forest Certification, or PEFC. So this endorsement we obtained through a rigorous assessment by PEFC to ensure that our standard, the MCNI, SFM, or all the operations and all the basically processes that we undertake in our certification scheme, is compatible, or it fulfills the international benchmark requirement set by PEFC. So with this recognition, with this endorsement, we are basically recognized throughout the world by a lot of not just countries. For example, our traditional importing countries such as the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, Japan, Germany. So these countries have their own timber procurement policies, and we have been basically recognized by these countries. And with PFC's endorsement, it opens up more market and it opens up more recognition as a scheme that meets the international benchmark, and then it can be sold off as sustainably produced products, basically from Malaysia.
Besides that, Malaysia remains vigilant to the perception from the environmental NGO, either locally or internationally. So that's why we always promote and we always encourage or ensure that all the industry players always follow the rules, the laws and regulations. And by doing this, we hope that all the industry players will be committed to the sustainable forest management to ensure the sustainability of the timber industry. And besides that, we also want to ensure that the enforcement agencies will do their part to reprimand all the offenders that go against the law in Malaysia. So this shows that Malaysian Timber Council is really committed to ensure the legality, to ensure the certification, and all the industry players follow the rules and regulations as per the international standards.
As for timber, actually is the number 3 top commodity from this Ministry of Plantation Industries and Commodity. At the moment, they have captured about 22.4 billion export value of timber products. And of that, actually, the countries that is taking our import of our timber products are actually most of the advanced countries. Actually, is US, Japan, UK, and also Germany. Yeah, so these are the countries that import most of our furniture products. Why are these countries importing our furniture products? Because they find that the work quality of our workmanship is well done, is very neatly done, and that's why they have preference for Malaysian furniture products.
We are the 3rd largest agri-commodity that contributed to Malaysian economy after palm oil and rubber. Despite the slowdown in the global economy, in 2021, we recorded growth of 3% from 22.08 billion Malaysian ringgit in 2020 to 22.74 billion Malaysian ringgit in 2021. This shows how important the timber industry to Malaysian economy, and that's why we need to ensure its sustainability for the betterment of Malaysia. And the second one, just say another fact. In the first 5 months of 2022, from January to May, we recorded an export of 11.04 billion Malaysian ringgit, which is an increase of 8.3% compared to the same period in 2020. Among the key products that we exported are furniture, plywood, sawn timber, builder joineries and carpentry or BJC, and few other products. The industry's export earning also contributed around 1.53% of Malaysian GDP, or in terms of the total export value of Malaysia, we contributed 2.2% from the 1 trillion Malaysian ringgit export last year in 2021.
The timber industry in Malaysia faces similar problems to those faced by its trade partners across the globe. The first being the high freight costs. MTC is doing its part to assist the timber industry through the Export Assistance Program, EAP. This will help to promote export activities by defraying part of the freight costs. The shortage of timber raw material needs to be addressed to ensure the industry survives. Malaysia has implemented the Industrial Tree Plantation Program to plant fast-growing timber species, and Malaysian Timber Council, MTC, also plays its part by implementing the Import Assistance Program, IAP, to encourage the industry to use imported timber raw material for value adding and downstream manufacturing. We have also embarked on a community farming program to increase the supply of timber raw materials. The dependency of unskilled foreign workers needs to be addressed as well. The timber industry needs to become attractive to the domestic labour market through the improvement of workers' welfare and working conditions. Manufacturing processes should also be improved through the automation to attract and create more opportunities for local talents.
Malaysia ranks 6th as the world's biggest timber exporter. An estimated 140,000 people depend on the timber industry for a living. As the world's insatiable appetite for timber products continues to grow, certified timber becomes increasingly crucial as the identification stamp that buyers must look out for. From legislation to policy making, from implementation to policing, from certifications to sustainable replanting, from upstream to downstream, Malaysia has become a towering example of how sustainability and legality are currently met by its timber industry. It was always a tall order to strike that balance between feeding the world its timber needs and doing so sustainably and legally. But the best minds in the country are captaining the timber industry in Malaysia now, making this documentary journey a discovery of the top management skills and knowledge required to meet this tall order. Malaysia's timber products are trusted by over 160 countries, used widely for both domestic and commercial purposes. World commodities are expected to rise in prices in the coming decades. Some, like fossil fuel, cannot be replenished. Others, like timber, can have its forests continuously protected and replanted, even as the industry continues to feed the world its demand for timber. For Malaysia, what seemed at first a tall order has been met. Sustainability and legality continue to be the towering pillars of Malaysia's remarkable, sustainable timber industry management. And this is a management masterclass.